I love him. But God said no. Broken heart. Then this happened. Emotional fiction story ****. She stood on the courthouse steps clutching the faded envelope that had once held every dream she believed God had promised her, but the words inside had become nothing more than painful reminders of a future that would never happen. The man she had loved for years was only a few yards away, smiling beside another woman while the church bells from across the street echoed through the bright afternoon sky. She had prayed, fasted, cried, and believed with every part of her heart that love would conquer every obstacle, yet on that beautiful sunny day she realized that sometimes the greatest heartbreak is not when someone leaves you, but when heaven quietly closes a door you desperately wanted to keep open. Before we continue this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so you can continue growing with our community through stories that remind us that even broken hearts can find healing. Clara had never imagined that a single season of disappointment could erase years of certainty. Ever since meeting Rowan during a volunteer project at a children's literacy center, she had believed they were walking toward the same future. Their friendship had been built on compassion rather than excitement, on respect rather than empty promises. Every afternoon they spent helping children discover the joy of reading made Clara feel as though life itself was quietly arranging something beautiful. Rowan admired her patience, her honesty, and her ability to comfort people carrying invisible pain. Friends assumed that marriage was only a matter of time, and even Clara eventually stopped questioning whether they belonged together. Life, however, has a way of changing direction without asking permission. Rowan accepted a position several hours away after the Literacy Foundation expanded into another city. They promised distance would never weaken what they shared, but months slowly replaced certainty with silence. Responsibilities increased. Opportunities changed priorities. Small misunderstandings grew into painful assumptions. Neither of them intentionally stopped caring, yet they gradually became strangers living inside old memories. Clara continued believing that one more conversation, one more prayer, or one more visit would restore everything they had lost. Instead, every attempt seemed to create another misunderstanding until one afternoon Rowan gently explained that he no longer believed their paths were leading toward the same future. The words shattered Clara in ways she could never describe. She continued serving at the literacy center because walking away would have meant abandoning the children who depended on her encouragement. Every bright morning she smiled for them while quietly carrying an invisible storm. Friends encouraged her to move on, but moving on felt impossible when every corner of her heart still remembered the life she had imagined. She questioned whether she had misunderstood God or simply misunderstood love itself. She wondered why sincere prayers sometimes ended with painful answers. Weeks later Clara learned that Rowan had become engaged to another woman named Meredith. The news traveled through mutual friends before finally reaching her. Although she wished them happiness, her heart struggled to accept that someone else would experience the future she had once dreamed about. She avoided bitterness as best she could, yet every sunny afternoon reminded her of afternoons they had once shared reading stories with laughing children. She smiled in public while quietly grieving in private. Instead of allowing grief to consume her completely, Clara made an unexpected decision. She accepted an invitation to organize community reading events in underserved neighborhoods. Every morning she packed books into old cardboard boxes, gathered volunteers, and spent long daylight hours creating spaces where children could laugh without worrying about difficult circumstances waiting at home. The work demanded energy she barely possessed, but serving others slowly gave her broken heart room to breathe. Every child who learned a new word reminded her that healing often begins when we choose to become someone else's encouragement. During one community event held in a public park filled with warm sunshine and blooming flowers, Clara met a reserved architect named Everett. Unlike others, Everett never tried to rescue her from sadness or convince her that everything happened for a reason. He simply noticed how exhausted she looked after carrying heavy boxes and quietly helped without expecting gratitude. Day after day he volunteered beside her, repairing portable bookshelves, organizing supplies, and designing reading spaces that made children feel important. His kindness never demanded attention. It simply appeared wherever someone needed help. Clara appreciated Everett's friendship but kept her heart carefully protected. She feared that trusting someone again would only invite another season of disappointment. Everett respected those boundaries. Rather than pursuing romance, he focused on becoming someone whose actions consistently reflected patience, honesty, and generosity. Over time, Clara noticed that genuine love often speaks more clearly through steady faithfulness than dramatic declarations. One bright afternoon, the Literacy Foundation faced an unexpected crisis. Funding that supported several neighborhood programs was suddenly withdrawn after a major sponsor encountered financial difficulties. Volunteers worried the reading centers would close permanently, leaving hundreds of children without educational support. Clara felt devastated because she had watched those children gain confidence through books, friendships, and encouragement. Losing the program felt like watching hope disappear once again. Instead of surrendering, Everett proposed an ambitious community campaign. He contacted local businesses, architects, teachers, artists, and retired professionals willing to contribute resources rather than money alone. Clara organized volunteers while Everett transformed and used public spaces into colorful reading gardens built almost entirely through donated materials and volunteer labor. The entire community united around the children. What initially seemed impossible gradually became reality. As newspapers covered the remarkable project, Rowan unexpectedly attended one of the celebrations. Seeing Clara standing confidently among smiling families surprised him. The woman he remembered had depended heavily on their shared future for happiness. The woman before him had discovered purpose that no relationship could ever replace. There was peace in her eyes that had not existed before. Rowan sincerely congratulated Clara for everything she had accomplished. Looking around at children reading happily beneath newly built wooden shelters, he admitted that watching her transform heartbreak into compassion had changed his own perspective about success. Clara felt old emotions briefly return, but they no longer controlled her heart. She realized she could appreciate their shared past without wishing to reclaim it. God had not punished her by closing one door. Instead, he had quietly guided her toward a purpose far greater than the life she had imagined. Months continued passing beneath countless bright mornings and peaceful afternoons. The reading gardens expanded into neighboring towns. Families volunteered together. Elderly residents found renewed purpose mentoring children. Young students who had once struggled academically began dreaming about college and meaningful careers. Clara discovered that her greatest contribution was never simply teaching children to read. It was helping them believe their futures could become brighter than their circumstances. Everett remained beside her through every challenge without asking for recognition. His consistency slowly dissolved the walls Clara had built around her heart. She realized that love rooted in patience grows far stronger than love built only on expectation. She also learned that healing never arrives because someone replaces another person. Healing arrives when we become whole enough to love without fear again. One peaceful afternoon during the opening celebration of the Foundation's largest community reading center, Everett presented Clara with a simple handmade journal rather than an expensive gift. Inside its first page he had written that every chapter of her life, including the painful ones, had prepared her to become someone capable of changing countless other lives. Clara understood then that real love does not erase old scars. It honors them because they tell the story of survival, faith, and growth. As the afternoon sunlight filled the new reading center with warmth and laughter, Clara finally understood the prayer she had struggled to accept. She had begged God to preserve one relationship because she believed losing it would destroy her future. Instead, she discovered that some prayers are answered by gentle redirection rather than immediate fulfillment. The closed door had protected her from building her entire identity around one person. The open door had led her toward purpose, healing, community, and a love that arrived without fear or desperation. Before this story comes to its close, we would love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment and tell us about a moment when life closed one door only to open another that became an unexpected blessing. Your story may encourage someone who is struggling today. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that unanswered prayers are not always signs of rejection. Sometimes they are quiet invitations toward a future we cannot yet imagine. Clara walked away from the future she desperately wanted only to discover the life she was truly meant to live. Her tears became compassion, her disappointment became purpose, and her broken heart became the place where hope began again, proving that even when love seems to end, faith can still write a more beautiful ending than we ever dared to dream.